Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today streaming live with Gareth Holebrook and Horia Slușanschi. And we're here to talk to you about value streams and the inherent problem. Gareth, Horia, can you guys do a quick introduction of yourselves?
Yeah, my name's Gareth Holebrook. I'm here in the north of the North Island of New Zealand. I'm a Kaizen coach, and I also work with Horia and Joshua on delivering disciplined Agile training.
Right. Hello, everybody. My name is Horia Slușanschi. I'm also serve as a Kaizen artist, and I've served as one of the co-authors of the PMI Agile Practice Guide, and we've been delighted to work with Al Shalloway to improve the Flex value stream offering. Looking forward to this session.
Great. Yeah, so we've been having some discussions. We had one that started off with Al Shalloway, and we want to kind of continue. We've had a lot of questions that have come about as far as value streams. And one of the first things that we wanted to kind of talk about was what is the inherent problem that we're trying to solve, and what are some of the options we have for that? And Gareth, do you want to kind of kick us off with that?
Yeah, so when I started working with Al on the DA Flex about a year ago, this was one of the highlights moments when I suddenly had an insight understanding how it was explained by Al. So to explain the inherent problem, first I'd like to define what I mean or what we mean by a value stream. So what is a value stream? A value stream is how the work flows through an organization from the customer, from what the initial problem is, all the way through to delivering value to the customer. So a value stream starts and ends with the customer. And that's the important thing. It's not an org structure, it's where the work flows. The second thing to consider is systems thinking, and thinking of the system as a whole, and that we want to attend to the whole end-to-end and not optimize part of that, because we know with a local optima, we can sub-optimize the whole. So that's important to consider with value streams, and that's the essence of what Flex is and the value stream consultant role. The second thing to consider is a traditional org structure, the nature of how our work is. Yeah. So if we look at a specific org structure, we'll have the work flowing left to right, but we usually manage the people top to bottom. So we have departments. So for example, we could have HR and legal, we could have marketing and sales, we'd have maybe the product management or the development and delivery, and then finally support. And they will have a hierarchical structure of the people who organize those people. So the inherent problem we've got is that the work flows left to right, and we organize the people top to bottom. Why is this a problem? Well, we know through lean thinking, one of the forms of waste is delay. And one thing we've observed is that there's a decision delay, or it's also called decision latency. So if you consider any one of those verticals, as the work flows into that vertical, you may require an approval or a decision to be made higher up in the organization. When that happens, it takes time, and that causes delay. This is waste, and it reduces the throughput of the work left to right. I've got a brilliant case study for this. So I was working in a bank a few years ago, and they were running design sprints, the Google design sprints. And within a week, lots of insights came out and lots of experiments were formulated to work out how we might be able to improve the first 100-day experience of a new to bank customer. But then right at the end of that design sprint, I asked the question, so who's going to be the product owner? How are we going to iterate to deliver value? And believe it or not, it took 3 months to assemble the team because of the HR, the talent acquisition, getting the budget approved. And so although the design sprint was rapid, the whole end-to-end value stream was still quite long. And reading Don Reinertsen's work on product development, lean product development and flow, we know that the single biggest thing to attend to and consider is cost of delay. And we know we need to measure that queue time. So within each stage of that value stream, how long is things queuing and the decision latency. And there's also a study by the Standish Group saying that one of the key causes of project failure is that the decision delay delays the whole end-to-end value stream. So in summary, the inherent problem we face is that the work flows left to right as we add value, but the wait times are caused by decision delay because we structure our organizations top to bottom. So the question is, what can we do about this? And for that, Horia, I'll hand over to you.
All right. Thank you, Gareth. Bottom line is Flex gives us a way of visualizing what is actually happening. It's giving us a systematic approach through which we can actually notice what is actually going on. And we get everyone a sharp visualization of how does my work connect to the outcomes for our end customers. The first step in avoiding a trap is knowing of its existence. So if we don't see what it is that we're struggling with, we're not going to be able to act well on it. Not only does the use of Flex help us to improve the intake process, in other words, it gives us an opportunity to make a better selection of the kinds of things that we should be doing in order to strengthen the value flow through a value stream. It also helps us to improve the visualization of benefits realization. We can validate much more effectively if the we call them minimal business increments are actually delivering the value that we're achieving for people. So think in terms of delivering a rapid sequence of sets of functionality through a value stream and learning quite rapidly, and therefore being able to adapt much faster. This is also related to John Boyd's OODA loop. It's a really effective way of thinking. The Flex approach to exploring value streams is also really handy at bridging the gap between strategy and tactics. In many organizations, we suffer from what we call the watermelon effect. Look at my project. It's green, it's green, it's green. Oops, it's red. In other words, we are, shall we say, economical with the truth. We want to present a brave face, and we pretend that everything is nice and happy. The project looks green, when in fact things are struggling. Using something like Flex gives us the opportunity to practice more radical transparency and have a lot more bite in strategic decision making by having much more effective tactical choices connected into the strategy. And finally, using Flex and having this deliberate focus on specific tactical achievement also helps to pull authority to where the information actually is. And this is also closely related to another organization that's close to our heart, the Intent-Based Leadership International, that is helping us to teach and train and coach people into how to develop better leader contexts for people rather than the traditional command and control leader-follower patterns. Now, in case of anyone wondering where to next, we would warmly recommend that you either consider attending perhaps one of the Disciplined Agile Value Stream Consultant courses. The Disciplined Agile Value Stream Consultants would be people that could facilitate the process of discovery and visualization and then execution through the Flex approach and framework. Or you might also want to consider the problem of governance in such complex contexts, for which we recommend an approach we call adaptive oversight. We might be able to be of value to you as well. Any questions?
Yeah, there were a few that we actually were provided in advance, and one of the ones that came up, and then there's some that are coming in now. So how does leadership impact this inherent problem, and what are some of the things we can do? And you mentioned the value of the value stream consultant, right, being the chief transformation agent that we would see companies bringing in to help solve some of this, or at least present solutions that leadership can take. So Gareth, looks like you were getting ready to chime in on that.
Yeah, because this is dear to my heart. So the important thing with leadership is the creation of psychological safety. So people feel safe to talk truth to power. And for example, that watermelon effect, we want people to feel encouraged to speak up if they think there's a problem with the project. And so we've been working with David Marquet and Intent-Based Leadership International, and also referring to his book, Turn the Ship Around, which is behind me. And so what we really want to do, just to paraphrase what Horia said, is bring authority to the information. And we do this through neurolinguistics, through language. And so we sense how people are seeing the world, perceiving the world at a tactical level, and help people at a strategic leadership layer articulate the mission. So there's a clear understanding of mission. This will enable more rapid tactical decisions. So in our mind, intent-based leadership or mission command leadership is vitally important to enable decisions to be made where the work is at the Gemba.
Yeah. And for those that don't know what the Gemba is and maybe what a Gemba walk is, can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
So Gemba is a Japanese word, and it means at the place of work, or at the work at the place. Actually, Horia, you speak better Japanese than I do.
Yeah, where values being made.
The actual place, right? Even a crime scene is a Gemba, right? The thing where the thing is happening.
So there's a style of management called management by walking around, and certainly as a senior leader in the past, that's exactly what I do: is go to where the work is. We know in Toyota, if there's a problem on the production line, the engineers and the managers are expected to approach and find out what the problem is and assist. So we want people to be present at the work and not be distant, not be the ivory tower mentality. So doing Gemba walks and help assisting the operators and the tacticians execute more effectively is by closing that gap of communication and also narrowing the power gradient so people can feel safe talking to the senior leadership about what they see.
Yeah, in the lean community, we talk about when you're doing a Gemba walk, first look at the purpose, then understand the process, then show respect to the people, right? You're challenging what's going on, but you're always doing it from a perspective of respect rather than condescension or arrogance.
Yeah, and so one of the things, and the reason why I specifically wanted Gareth to have you kind of say what that is, and then Horia, as you chimed in on it, is, I mean, that's one of the things that we do see being taught to value stream consultants, is that we don't want them to have that very senior consultant sort of maybe attitude or mindset sometimes where, I interact with C-level executives, or I only work with leadership team members. We need to be able to take a look at the value stream, map it, see some of the improvements, see where value stream impedance is coming about. And to do that, we need to go to where the work is being produced, right? And there's a question here from a user saying, how do you make this work in our remote working environment ideas?
Wonderful question.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, going to the Gemba means joining in the way of the work. If the way of the work is remote, then these days it means join in the various mechanisms of online meeting, whatever they are, be they Zoom or Teams or WebEx or whatever format you have for doing the work. Because if the work goes away from face-to-face office and more into a virtual space, then you got to participate in that virtual space. And funnily enough, we have a couple of customers that we do exactly that with. And some of them are not even in the same country, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. I mean, we can observe work that's being produced by attending some of the recurring iteration events if they're using an iteration approach to delivering their value with Agile, or we can attend some of the other meetings or events that they would have on Cadence if they're using a lean life cycle. So yeah, we have opportunities all the way through the value stream to still make those observations and still participate, even though we're all or the majority of us are still potentially in a remote working environment at this point. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at some of the other questions we've got. Another question that had come in advance is, how do I bridge the strategic to the tactical gap?
That's another really interesting question.
Yeah.
It all comes down to resolving the tension between, in strategic circles, most people are often concerned with certainty. I want to know for sure, how long is this going to take? How much is it going to cost? What am I going to get? Right? Whereas in particularly knowledge work, there's a lot of adaptivity. We need to find out, we need to learn. So there's going to be a tension, and this tension needs to be resolved through various techniques. And this is where our adaptive oversight research and practice comes in terms of helping people to embrace more of a polarity thinking set of techniques to actually discover, how do we actually get a win-win? How do we actually learn? Yeah, there's only so much that you can be insistent on. It's really important to learn what is actually humanly achievable, and you need to balance control with trust. You got to balance safety with courage, and so on. So there are a number of these polarities that need to be balanced in order to be really effective at really good oversight in this dynamic and larger scale context of dealing with value streams.
Yeah. So another question that had come in was, what if I'm in an organization that is still taking a traditional approach? We haven't actually moved into trying to adopt an agile way of working. What can we do?
Okay, so this is where this is the difference between Kaizen and Kaikaku. And we hear the phrase agile transformation quite a lot. And I think that's quite confronting and too novel. And I'm not an advocate of that. One of the aspects of lean thinking is, first you need to know where you are, and so understand exactly the condition you're currently in, the current condition. Then you need to understand what your mission is, what is your target condition, where would you like to be in 2 years' time from now. And then after that, we want to iterate towards it. We run very small bets, small experiments, and we tend towards the target condition. This is very much in line with Toyota Kata, which is about a different way of thinking. It's not a big transformational change or even a transitional change, which is Kaikaku. It's Kaizen, which is a repeated cycle of very small incremental changes. So wherever you are today in your current organization, that's where you are. You can't pretend you're somewhere else. What you can do is imagine where you'd like to get to and have engagement and enrollments with the organization to get to that future condition. And then what we ask ourselves on a regular basis, are we tracking towards our direction? Remember, direction determines destination. So we need to set ourselves upon the direction in which we need to go. We need to think big, but start small.
Yeah. And we've got time for one more question. Again, this one's come in a few times, and I kind of saved it for last, is how do I become a value stream consultant, and or how do I find a value stream consultant if my organization wants to engage with one?
I'll let you take
Go for it, Gareth. Okay, right. So in terms of finding value stream consultants, well, at the moment we are in the process of opening up classes for developing this certification. So you're welcome to join us for the various value stream consultant classes. They will be offered in times friendly to all time zones around the world. What can you do next beyond attending or becoming a value stream consultant? Is there's lots to learn. Join in the conversations on LinkedIn. Watch this space. There will be more similar live events. So there's more coming very shortly. Gareth?
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. I wrote an article on LinkedIn last week on the inherent problem. I didn't really emphasize or dwell on the solution, but I tried to articulate what the problem is. And so what I described at the beginning of this, there's about 1,000 words explaining it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'll add on, as we're seeing that this is the value stream consultant is a new role, a new designation by PMI, and we are just rolling out the initial training courses for that. But there are so many opportunities for learning. So we do see that there's a lot of postings in the Discipline Agile group here on LinkedIn. Al Shalloway in particular, very active with putting posts out on this particular topic. And once you go through the Value Stream Consultant training course, you also have access to the community of practice. And within the community of practice, we've got deeper dive information, meaning that for particular aspects, like maybe with this inherent problem, a deeper dive might be kind of the 1-pager, and then next level down might be the 2 to 3 pager, and then getting into a lot of depth where we might have many pages, kind of a mini dissertation. And so we have a lot of these deep dives that are initially being produced by Al's team and some of the initial value stream consultant instructors. But it is a community, so we're seeing that there is a lot of questions and then a lot of answers and a lot of additional content that's being putting out. There's additional assets as part of the community practice. We've got lots of tools that have been developed in virtual collaboration platforms like Miro, that there's access to that as well. So there's quite a bit that you're able to have as a continuing way to learn and see what people are doing in organizations to kind of bring the value that is intended to be here. And there's a lot of sharing that's already going on. And with that, I'll thank everybody that is in attendance live with us today, as well as those of you that are watching this on replay. Horia and Gareth, thanks a lot for the time, and we'll make sure this is available not only as a recorded live stream event on LinkedIn, but we'll also have it out on a YouTube channel, and we'll answer as many questions as we can post the event. So thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Joshua.
Thanks, everybody.